Welcome back, everyone. It's ajbarse, and in this video, this is dedicated to all the faculty that are going and making WordPress sites and don't want to do the grind of having to add each individual student ID to your course. Let me show you. So if we go ahead and take a look at WordPress, here's a dashboard of a sample site that I'm going to use for this video. Now, this could be the site that you already have or a site that you're thinking of spinning up. But once you have your site up, typically in the past, and I've mentioned this in a previous post, I'll probably put a link up here, that there is this My Class feature where you can create a class or join a class. Now, in some of the tests that I've found with faculty using this in the past, if there is any other faculty that has done this on our campus, students can't enroll into two classes at the same time. I think this feature is actually built for more K-12 than it is for higher ed. So that left faculty doing what I call the grind, where you would have to go and have all of your students go and spin up a WordPress site at wp.wwu.edu, wait for them to do that, and then go and add new user to your course or to your site one by email or username. Like I said, it was a grind. So now we don't have to do that. As of this summer, our Campus Press installation rolled out a new feature that allows you to generate what I'm going to call a role-based URL. And let me explain what this means. A role in WordPress is the level of rights that anybody has or permissions on a site. So for instance, if we go back and we take a look at when we added our users, we had this role dropdown, subscriber being view only all the way up to administrator, God mode. And they can do anything with your content or structure of your site. And typically what I tell most faculty is if you're inviting students to author things on your site so that they can make a post or a page and then submit that link perhaps as an assignment in Canvas, then that's just that. You make them as an author. TAs, on the other hand, you may want to make them as an editor because that way they have the ability to edit authored posts as well as create their own posts as well. But they are not an administrator, they are limited to only having access to content, not the site structure, say themes, colors, links, etc. So we've already had these roles in the past, but we've had to do it in an individual process. Well, now we have a bulk way of doing it. So if you have a site and you want to add a role-based URL to it so that you can invite students to your site, let me show you. We're going to go ahead and go over to users like we did before, but instead of doing add new, we're going to go down here to invite users. And once we get here, we now have this really simple form. For instance, we start with an invite code. And what I'm going to do is make an invite code. And I'm just going to say fall 2021-author. And this is kind of a helpful thing because now you can create invite codes if you're using the same site over and over for different courses throughout this next year or in the future. You can see when you sent those invite codes. So typically I'll do like a term -role. And it's just easy for me to keep track of which links are out there. Next phase is I'll go to default role. By default, I'll go to subscriber, the most bare bones view only access. I'm going to go ahead and drop that to author because I want my students to be able to create posts and that way they can submit that to my WordPress site, and then I can get them to submit that link, say in Canvas as an assignment. I'm going to also skip the site process. This is the onboarding that we had to have students do in the past where they had to create a WordPress site before we could even add them to a site in the past. Now we can force, if a student is brand new, say a freshman, and has never done WordPress before on our campus, they won't be burdened with having to go through and create their first site that they may or may not use later in their academic career. Once we have that, I can hit add new invite code. And once I do, you'll notice that you'll get a unique URL, you'll see what the role is, and you'll see how many times it's been used. So if you have 30 students in a course, you'll know that hopefully everybody has done it when you see the used amount go to 30 or whatever your class enrollment is. Now let's say you made a link and you accidentally put the wrong role. Let's say you called it author, but you sent it as a subscriber by accident. You could delete the link and redo it, or because you've already maybe put it into your course, we can go ahead and hit edit and we can change the role here. So if you accidentally put the wrong role or if you need to change the role to the same link you've put out, you can from here without having to retract it wherever you've put it out. The other way that we can do this is I'm going to say that's for authors. Let's say you have a TA. And your TA is going to help you as faculty build this site. Well, author won't do that. That's not a high enough role. So for that type of thing, if it's just 1 or 2 students, I would still encourage you to go over to add new and add them from here. But if you did this in bulk, I can show you the same trick that we did before. We can invite users, and again, we could change the role to administrator or editor. Let's say we were just having them as a TA for a class, not somebody who needed to help you build a site, but rather just have help with you working a site for a class. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, and I'll say fall 2021 dash, and then editor. Don't allow students to create site in process, and then hit invite code. And now I have 2 unique URLs that I can put out. This I could send as a message just to my TAs that are helping me go through student content submitted to the site, versus the students themselves. This is what I would send out to my course in either an announcement or maybe even in an assignment, making it an assignment where they have to do this and you can assign points value to it. So it incentivizes them to get it done sooner than later. So hopefully that helps you with automating your process and streamlining getting your class connected to your site. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm aj.barse@ww.edu, and we'll see you in the next video.